Well, if I told you that you can get these Avid Revolve rods for under 40 quid a piece, you'd probably think that I'm a little bit mental and I've finally lost it. But the 10 footers come in at just $39.99 each rod. So let's get this in, see how they feel actually playing fish on them, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about them. Now I'm using the 12 foot, 3.5 pound model at the moment. And I've done quite a bit of casting around with them. Bearing in mind I'm using 20 pound fluorocarbon and a 2 ounce lead. It's not exactly a big casting setup. And I'm hitting distances of 70, 80 yards. I'm hitting the far bank with no issues at all. I actually feel quite nice. There's quite a bit of backbone to them. But they don't feel broomsticky like a lot of more budget conscious rods do. Come on. Oh, how about that then? Maybe slightly bigger than I originally thought. Not a lot, he's probably 13, 14 pound, but a very cool one. And it's nice to actually test out the rods properly, get a bend in them, see how they feel. Like I said, I've done a bit of casting with them, but it's nice to actually have some play in action with them as well. So let's get this one back and I'll tell you everything about them. So I think it's fair to say that Avid's new Revolve range of rods and other products within the Revolve range really are aimed at the more budget conscious among us. But I think the price is about the only budget thing about these rods. Everything to do with these rods screams higher end rod. Now the fittings that it comes with, the actual look of it, you'd expect to see on rods which are probably 2 if not 3 times the price of what these come in at. So let's jump into it, let's have a proper look at some of the fittings and then we'll go through how it actually looks and how it performs as well. So the blank is made from a low resin carbon and that actually gives a surprisingly thin blank. When I saw the price point of these before picking them up from the guys at Avid, I thought they're going to be really thick broomstick-like rods, but they're not. The 10 foots are super slim, and even in 12s and 13s, they are nice and thin, even compared to, like I said earlier, higher end rods. The slim blank is then complemented with an 18mm high quality reel seat. That's basically an industry standard size, so pretty much any of the reels that you've got are going to fit on these rods. I think you'd be hard pushed to find a carp reel that doesn't fit into an 18mm reel seat. Moving further up the blank, you've then got minimus style guides. And again, these guides are associated with far higher end rods than what this price point dictates. Now, for Avid to be putting guides like this onto probably the cheapest rod they've ever produced, it means you guys benefit quite heavily from this. And again, you don't get that horrible, thick, heavy guide that is normally put onto more budget rods. Then at the top of the rod, you've got an anti-frap ceramic guide. So basically this helps to reduce tangles, it helps to reduce friction. In simple terms, it helps you cast that bit further. Another benefit to casting is the flared butt grip. Now I'll show you a couple of close-ups of this. It really does make a difference. It gives you that extra bit to grip onto and it doesn't feel like you're going to slide off the butt of the rod when you are doing longer casts. I've noticed this quite a bit just from casting around today and just having a play with them, how much of a difference it really does make. Overall, casting wise, these are a really nice rod to cast. And I think that's because they feel quite a lightweight rod. I'm so used to 10 footers now, any 12 foot rod really does feel heavy, but these don't actually feel too bad. They feel nice and lightweight. And I think that's down to a few things. It's obviously down to the low resin carbon blank, that makes it a nice light blank, but it's also down to the guides as well. By not having the chunky, horrible, cheaper guides, and by Avid probably taking a little bit of hit when it comes to profit margin to give you guys better guides, it really does make a nicer overall package. Now there's different rods to suit every situation, which we'll come on to in a little bit. I've been casting around the 12 foot, 3.5 pound test curve to date, and they have been faultless. Anywhere on this lake I've been able to get to, and I'd probably say the furthest point is probably about 90 yards across. So in that situation, absolutely fine. And like I say, paired up with better line and a slightly bigger lead, you're gonna get decent distances out of these rods. Moving on to the aesthetics, as you'll see, these are a very understated set of rods, which In the rod market, it's definitely a good thing. There's no in-your-face logos, there's no massive branding or anything like that on these. You've got a tiny, tiny little Avid logo in, I don't think it's even white, it's like a very light grey, something like that, so it doesn't stand out too much. And then that's actually set into a small section of 3K carbon weave. Aside from that, the actual blank is matte black, and then you've got gloss black whippings on each of the eyes. You've got a little bit of gloss black on the collars on the real seat, but other than that, the remainder of the real seat is almost like a matte dark smoky grey colour, and that's about it. They are a really subtle rod and they look the part. The actual handle is a full shrink handle, so again that really ties into that subtle look and that understated look. So again, like I say, they look like a much higher end rod than the price dictates. They are very, very nice rods. So within the Revolve range, there are 5 different rods to choose from in 3 different lengths. So there's 2 10-foots, there's 2 12s, and there's a 13. The 2 10s come in £3 and £3.5 test curve. The 12s again come in £3 and £3.5, and then the 13-foot, if you want a bit more of a distance tool, a bit more of a casting rod, is still £3.5, but obviously you've got that extra length as well. So if you can compress a rod like that, you're going to get really good distances from it. Now prices, like I say, are the only budget thing about these rods, and they vary from $39.99 for the 10-foot models, $49.99 for the 12-foot models, and then $54.99 for the 13-foot models, which I think if you can get a set of 3 12-foot rods for under 150 quid, I think you're doing something right. I think Avid are doing something right, and the fact they look the way they do, they perform the way they do, they feel the way they do, I think these are going to be big. Once these are released, they are going to be flying out, and with good reason. It's a hell of a lot of rod for the money, and I definitely recommend popping down to your local tackle shop to actually have a look at these in the flesh, see how slim the blank is, have a look at the nice fittings, a nice finish as well. They are a very good rod for the money. Now, so far, I've just had that one earlier, and I've got a little bit of time left, so there's chance of another one. If I do get one, I'll drop it in. But playing that fish, the rods were great. They didn't miss a beat. They had the backbone when I needed it, and even under the rod tip, even though the 12-foot 3.5s are quite stiff rods, there's still a forgiving enough tip. So actual playing action was nice. Like I said, casting action's nice. You can get good distances with the right setup. Can't really fault them for the price that they are. Now head over to the Avid website if you want to find out even more specs and a bit more technical stuff about these, but definitely check them out if you get a chance. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more videos on Avid's new Revolve range, then I have recently filmed the sleep systems as well, which will be popping up on the screen somewhere, because they, again, like these rods, are excellent value for money. I think the Revolve range is going to be a bit of a revolution for Avid. Maybe they should have called it the Revolution range. Oh well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.